evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Talk Albion. We've got a great episode for you lined up today. We're going to be talking about our recent games, our favourite strikers, and lots of other stuff as well. Today, I'm joined as ever by my dad, Matt.
Hello, everyone, and hiya, Josh. Nice to be with you again for this podcast.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. Sorry about no releasing last week. It was an international break, so we thought we'd save it for another week. And here we are back. Our most recent game, as you well know, was against Manchester United. Unfortunately, we lost the game 1-0, which I think a lot of people were expecting a loss, but West Brom United seemed to go quite nicely in recent history. But unfortunately, it just wasn't our day. Dad, what did you make of the game?
Oh, on a number of levels, Josh, I think the refereeing was absolutely appalling. I think we played really, really well. I think that every single player can come off the pitch with their heads held high. They really gave it a go. We hit the crossbar, Grant hit the crossbar. We had our chances. We limited United to a few. Sam Johnson was outstanding. It was a real good performance by the Baggies. Apart from three crucial decisions by the referee that turned the game. First of all, awarding us a penalty, and then going to VAR and denying it, which I don't understand why, because the player absolutely took
It's Gallagher, I think.
Gallagher's feet from underneath him. Even if he touched the ball, he still went through, and it was a foul. It was a foul, and it had to be a penalty. And I'm not just saying that because I'm Albion biased. Yeah, I would have said that. Virtually the same thing happened to Villa in the game earlier on in the day.
Yeah.
And then within a couple of minutes, United go up to the other end of the field. Not only, again, was there a foul on Gallagher in the build-up, which the ref didn't even see or award. The ball hits our player's arm, who was turning his back from the shot. So the ball actually hit him when he was turning, and the referee gives a penalty, and without any doubt, you know, as we know, Johnson saves the first penalty, only for the ref to decide to, or should I say, VAR indicated that it should be retaken, and of course United score and go 1-0 up. Very disappointed, very angry, and I'm lost for words of what to say.
Yeah, no, it was very disappointing, and all those decisions did play a part. I think with the West Brom penalty incident, I think if it was anywhere else on the pitch, it would have been a free kick easily. VAR probably wouldn't have gotten involved because it wasn't a major decision. But I think I would have to say that the Manchester United goals probably were a penalty, because I think if that happens, if West Brom have an incident where we shoot and it hits the defending team's arm, I'd be going crazy saying that's pen ref. But so I can understand that, and with the current rules of the goalkeeper being off his line and stuff, it should have been retaken. But at the same time, it's a stupid rule. I don't understand why that is a rule.
But why didn't the ref blow for a foul against Gallagher in the build-up to that play?
Yeah,
it shouldn't have been a penalty in the first place.
Yeah,
because there was a blatant foul on Gallagher, which the ref didn't even acknowledge.
Yeah.
And within a split second, the ball's in the Albion penalty area, and I think it was Furlong's arm that that the ball struck. But in the build-up, there was a blatant foul. It should never have been a penalty in the first place, because it should have been a foul awarded to the Albion in the build-up.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand the rules of VAR and stuff and when it can be used nowadays, because it happened to us in the Chelsea game for their third and final. I think it was their third goal or maybe
It
their
was their
second
third
goal.
goal.
But
A very similar incident where the ball hit one of their players' arms
no, but
in the
even
build-up
even
to.
so, there was a one of their Chelsea goals. There was a foul on. I think it might have either been Furlong or Livermore. I can't quite remember because it was a month or two ago now. But there was an incident where our player got fouled in the build-up. We should have had a free kick, and then they went up and scored, and it
And
should have been
scored.
brought back for a foul. And then there was also the incident where it hit Kai. I think it was Kai Havertz's hand. It drops kindly to him, passes it to Mount. Mount shoots. Johnson makes a great save, but palms it to Tammy Abraham,
That's
and then
right.
Abraham scores. So I don't understand what it is. I think VAR at this stage can do one, putting it politely, because it seems to be benefiting the top six. The higher you are in the league, typically, or the higher caliber club you are, the more likely decisions are going to go your way. And I think with West Brom at the minute, the league, I mean, I could just
So
be biased here as an angry West Brom fan, but it looks like the league just doesn't want us to be there. And if we are going to survive, we're not going to have any help from the ref or anything unless we pay him off.
unfortunately, Josh, that's exactly the sentiment that we've had for the last 20 years. That the decisions seem to always go to the top six teams when you're playing them,
Yep.
and despite the advances in technology, that those biased decisions still seem to be going in the way of the top six teams. And it's, to be honest, it's quite frankly disgusting because it's not a fair game. It's not a fair game at all. And if you was to take the Chelsea game into consideration, which I still say we deserve the 3 points from,
Definitely.
and I do believe that we deserve the 3 points against United. It was a top class performance. Their penalty shouldn't have been a penalty, as should have been a penalty. I'm not saying we'd have scored it, but we were good for 6 points there. So we Albion at this point in time could be 5 points for the better off because we got a point against Chelsea. We should have had three. We should have
Yep.
had three against Man United. So, in all honesty, in my opinion, we should be 5 points better off than what the league table currently says we are at this moment in time, because our performances over the last couple of weeks have been exactly what we've all been asking for from the team. They've all pulled together,
Yep.
and there's no disgrace in that 1-0 loss to United at the weekend. Just very, very disappointed. A draw at the very, very least would have been acceptable. But I just felt that the referee in the VAR was totally against us in that match, and it's cost us a point or 3 points.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. I would have absolutely loved it if West Brom had beaten United, because I work very closely with a guy who supports United. So I would have loved to have gone in on Sunday night going, "Wee, you lost to West Brom," but unfortunately I couldn't. I had to take it on the chin. But yeah, he doesn't like VAR either. I don't think anyone does at the minute.
no, it just doesn't seem to be working properly.
Yeah,
And at the moment, it's spoiling the game as far as I'm concerned.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
you can't celebrate a goal, you can't celebrate a penalty save. You just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
So for me, it's a step backwards, unfortunately.
yeah.
Um, I'm not a fan. I need to be convinced otherwise. I
Yeah,
really do.
I
I
have to
really do.
agree. There was I put a post out on the Talk Albion page the other day asking about if people like VAR, and someone put a really cool or interesting suggestion, and that it should become a challenge. You know how tennis and other sports use it as their like VAR equivalents as a challenge basis, where either
Yeah.
the player will challenge a point. He made the same. This guy commented saying that, why aren't we doing this with VAR? Why can't the captain or the manager challenge what the referee says? Get a certain amount of challenges. If you get it right, you keep your challenges. If you lose one, you lose one of. If you don't get it right, you lose
Well,
one of your challenges. So I don't understand why it's not being used as other sports use it, and how it should be used.
mm,
Because
yeah. I mean,
the
the,
guy in the VAR box just has too much power in the game. When he's not on the pitch, he can't see how it really is.
mm, mm. They have a similar system like that in cricket, don't they, where they're allowed so many reviews. Each team captain, I think, is allowed, like say, 5 reviews of um, if they think if there's been an out or a catch or something. But even if you look at rugby, with their third umpire in the stand, they seem to have the right approach
Mm.
with their decision making. So considering it's the same company that is providing this technology to football, then maybe we can rule out it's not the technology, but maybe it's the people that who are assessing these decisions that are not getting the decisions right. I don't know. I'm totally disillusioned with it. Seemed like a great idea when it got introduced, but they just
It's because
even with
it
that.
was working when it got introduced in tournaments like the World Cup and Euros and stuff. It was actually working, which is why I think a lot of people backed it for the Premier League. But
Mm, mm,
a few years down the
but
drain,
it's obviously not working, and it's. I think the majority of people who listen to this podcast and listening to us talk now will be agreeing with us that it just seems to be a complete waste of time for. Unless you support one of the top 6 teams, then I'm sure they're very happy with the results that they're getting for it. So
yeah.
anyway, yeah,
Moving on, as you
moving
said,
on.
as you said earlier, we should be 5 points clear in the table, or 5 points better off. But unfortunately, as it stands, that's not quite the case at the minute, which is unfortunate. Um, as it stands, we are currently on 19 points. Not 19 points. We are 19th place with 3 points. Sheffield United are 2 points below us on 1. Fulham are above us in 18th with 4 points. And then Burnley are above us in 17th with 5 points. And then just above them is Brighton with 9.
Yeah, yeah. So it's still very close. Still all to play for. Lots of points left to play for. I'm
Yeah.
sure that we're going to start seeing some more points come our way in the very near future.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely confident of that from the last, certainly the last couple of performances that Albion have played
Yeah.
in. So I really do expect to see an improvement in our league position over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So, like I say, we've got Fulham above us on 4 points, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this pans out over the Christmas period.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well we haven't had the best of luck in terms of the opening 9 games. We've played a lot of the traditional top 6 and very good clubs as well. And the only game that we should have definitely performed a lot better in is the Fulham one. So I think as a whole,
Yeah,
we've started the season probably a little bit better than expected, because I don't think anyone would have expected us. Well, from what I saw at the start of the season of people giving their predictions and stuff, everyone was expecting us to be on 0 points, whereas we almost beat Chelsea, should have got a result against United, should have obviously done a bit better against Fulham, but I think we've had one of the hardest starts, especially for the bottom side of the table. We've had
definitely.
the worst start, and we've got a nice sort of run of fixtures now where we've got a lot more winnable games coming our way. In our next game, we're playing Sheffield. After that, we're playing Crystal Palace. After that, we're playing Newcastle, and then we've got a difficult game against Manchester. And then after that, we've got Villa, and who knows what will happen in a derby. So
Absolutely. And looking at Fulham, who are 1 point above us, their next few matches being Leicester City away, Manchester City away,
mm-hmm.
and Liverpool at home. So I can't see Fulham picking too many points up over the next three weeks from their set of fixtures. So this would be a really good opportunity for Albion to start getting a couple of wins
Yeah,
under our belt, and it would make the league table look a little bit more pleasing on the eye, despite the performances, obviously, that we've been putting in. it's points that matter, and it's points that keep us in the league. So
Yeah.
with Fulham, that's Fulham's next 3 matches.
Yeah.
We got
Burnley have got a very difficult run as well. They've got Manchester City in their next game, and then they've got Everton, and then Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal, you never know what's going to happen. You could thrash them, or you could get thrashed by them. But
That's
they've
right.
got very difficult 3 games. I mean, Everton, after the red card, they demolished us. So
Yeah,
that
that's
could be a
right.
very difficult game, and Manchester City definitely won't be an easy one for them. So
Mm.
who knows? We could be 2 places higher in the space of 2 weeks.
We certainly could be. And also looking at our next opponent, Sheffield United, we know that we've got them. Their next match is against us. Crucial. What dare I say? It's a 6-pointer already in the season.
Mm.
But then their next 3 fixtures are Leicester City, Southampton, who are having a brilliant season at this moment in time,
Yep.
and then Manchester United. So again, a very, very tough 3 or 4 weeks in front of Sheffield United. So I'm sure that they'll be looking to try and get whatever points they can from us on Saturday evening.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll talk about Sheffield United a bit later on in our podcast, but that's a league table, and that's what our rivals are facing over the next 3 weeks. So
Yeah. Cool. So, as said, we'll put a pause on the talking of the table for now, and we're going to continue our mini series on our West Brom Ultimate 11, just to go over who we've already got in our Ultimate 11, if I can get the notes up. So far in goal, we've got Ben Foster, the cycling goalkeeper, who now plays for Watford. We've got Brendan Batson, Darren Moore, Gareth McCauley, and Chris Brunt. In midfield, we've got Laurie Cunningham, the Bomber Brown, not the singer, but James Morrison in midfield, and Zoltan Gira, one of my favourite players of all time. And then, so we've got 2 more spaces in the 11, and those are going to be our strikers. So, Dad, have you got anyone in your head?
Oh, I've got a few names, Josh. As you know, Albion, we've been notorious for having superb strikers over the years. Obviously, we've had some turkeys as well, and so we won't mention them as much. But to name just a few of the strikers in recent history, to give them a mention, obviously we had Carnu, amazing skill and ability. He was with us for just over a season and a half before we sold him to Portsmouth. A few people remember the fallen Lee Hughes. He was an incredible striker, local lad. I think he was a roofer turned professional footballer. Cult hero at the Hawthorns until his fall from grace. Everyone, of course, remembers Rondon, Odumwingie. We had Dwight Gale and Rodriguez play for us, who scored so many goals for fun during their times with us. Robbie Earnshaw, he was another fan's favourite.
Little Welshman.
Yeah, I believe he was our striker when I first started taking youth to the games. Jeff Horsfield, obviously, most memorable goal coming on scoring with his first touch against Portsmouth in that famous Great Escape. So there's many names we could mention and select from to choose for 2 strikers to be in the 11, and I've probably missed a few that other people are shouting at us now. Names, Andy Hunt was one of my favourites as well. Unfortunately, we sold him to Charlton Athletic, and then he retired from football at a very early age through ill health, unfortunately. Then we got the likes of Ronnie Allen, again in the previous era, to since before I started following the Albion, but very, very well documented. He was a superb striker for the Albion. And do you want to continue with the rest of the list?
Yeah. So obviously, the people that you may be screaming and shouting at us about right about now could be these next four that we've sort of narrowed it down to our favourite. So for contention for the Ultimate 11, we have got where is it? We've got the King, Jeff Astle, the late Cyril Regis, and then we've got two super players, Super Kevin Phillips and Super Bobby Taylor. So it's going to be very hard narrowing that down to two, but I think
I totally agree. Ronnie Allen, again, to a lot of fans, would be their first choice. For me, out of those last five that we spoke about, it's a very, very tough, very, very difficult decision. This is Josh, a very, very difficult decision. For me, it comes down to Super Bob, Super Kev, Jeff Hassel, the King, and Cyril Regis to be up front. So it's who we choose out of those four, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, I think to make it a bit easier on ourselves, we'll put Super Kev on the bench. Obviously, I think most of his, like what he's most famous for being the Premier League top goal scorer was with Sunderland. But obviously, when he was with us, he got us promoted, won the championship with us, and he did score quite a lot of goals for us. But I think in terms of legend status, Sunderland sort of have that maybe one up from us.
I think I agree with you, but I must say this, that when I got news of Kevin Phillips signing for the Albion, and for when he played for Sunderland, myself and your granddad Pete were saying to ourselves, why don't we go out and sign Kevin Phillips at that time, and Albion never did. So Kevin Phillips joined us quite late on in his career. So I think I agree with you, Kevin Phillips on the bench. So that leaves Super Bob, the King, and Cyril Regis.
Yeah.
So who are we going to choose out of those three?
I don't know. I'm sort of regretting choosing to do this Ultimate 11 now because it's proven to be super difficult. But I think the King is going in for me. Obviously, I never got to watch him play. I don't know too much about his play style, but from what I can tell, he was an absolute monster up front, especially with his head. He's the only player so far, and hopefully the only player for a while, to score in every round of the FA Cup, and he also won us the FA Cup, scoring the only goal in the final.
I think you're absolutely right. Jeff's servanthood alone to the football club, his goals, his appearances. He was passionate about West Bromwich Albion. I did have the pleasure of meeting him personally on a couple of occasions. He was a perfect gentleman, and he's an absolute cult and boyhood hero. Watching all of the nostalgia footage that you can see of him play on YouTube, and there's no other player who knew him has got a bad word to say against him. He was a model professional, and so he's got to be our first choice out of the strikers, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
Yeah.
So now we've got the hard task of Cyril or Super.
Now this is a very, very difficult decision again, because Super Bob came to the Albion when we was really, really struggling, and he instantly became, from the very, very first game he ever played for us, became a fan's favourite. He loves the club. He scored so many wonderful goals for us. Of course, he scored the goal against Crystal Palace when we beat them 2-0 to get promoted the first time. I know Darren Moore scored as well in that game. But it was when Super Bob scored. You know, it was just the scenes were incredible. It was as if we'd won the FA Cup. It was so emotional. And it couldn't have happened. The winning goal. When we beat Port Vale in the playoff final. And unfortunately, Bob Taylor didn't score in either of the semi-final or the final of those playoffs in that season. And I think during the course of the season, he'd scored nearly 30 odd goals. And for him not to have scored in those playoffs, but then actually score the goal that virtually secured us promotion back into the Premier League. It was stuff of dreams. It really was. It was absolutely amazing, and I absolutely love him. He is he's probably my all-time. It's favourite Super Bob. Absolutely love him to bits. I can't tell you how much. But then on the other hand, we've got the likes of Cyril Regis, who's an absolute pioneer. Just absolutely amazing, and I think what tips the balance for me is that Cyril Regis scored the majority of his goals in the top flight.
Yeah.
Whereas Super Bob, for all the goals he scored and all the games he played for us, was in the lower division. So if we take that into account and you look at Cyril Regis' goal scoring ability, his physical strength, his presence on the field, he was, and not only that, if we touch on to the racial abuse that he had to tolerate while he was playing football, from opposing fans, from dare I say it, from some of the home supporters as well. To be able to keep your cool under them circumstances and play football and prove people wrong, that I think Big Silvery just gets a nod over Super Bob.
Yeah,
for me.
I have to agree with you. I think Cyril Regis, obviously most of his goals were in the top flight, and he went on to play for England, went on to play for other top clubs as well. And he obviously, with all of his racial abuse, if it wasn't for him playing, there may not be the likes of players like Sterling, Rashford. He was a real pioneer for today's modern game. I think was a hero to many, not just West Brom fans as well.
Absolutely.
So I think he's got the final spot, but it leaves us with two very good super subs. If we got Super Bob and Super Kev.
That sounds like a good bench to me, Josh. Having Super Bob and Super Kev Phillips warming the bench up.
Yeah.
What a strike partnership that would be. Jeff Hassel and Cyril Regis up front. It'd be the stuff of dreams, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah. Well, hopefully Callum Robinson and Carlin Grant can be the reincarnation.
Well, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it, to see this season? Yeah, absolutely.
But for the minute, we're still playing one up top, so I don't think that's going to happen.
No, definitely. But no, it's good. It's been fun to do. So,
if you disagree with what we've said, get in touch with us at www.facebook.com/Talk Albion. We'd love to know who your favourite players are, who you swap out for the team. I think we've got the attack nailed and the midfield maybe spot on. Of course, we've put in the personal favourite Zoltan Gear in there, but you might have someone else you'd like to go in. So do get in touch with us. Before we go, though, we'd like to talk about our next fixture, which we've already mentioned, is Sheffield United. So, what are you expecting from this game?
Nothing else but a 2-0 win to the Albion. Nothing less.
Brilliant. Well, I'm expecting a lot less red cards than last time, or the last time we played them. I'm not sure if it was the exact last time, but one of the last times we played them. Hopefully, it's not a battle of the Hawthorns to rival the Battle of Bramall Lane.
You're referring to 2002, aren't you? In the Battle of Bramall Lane when um, the game was abandoned due
Hmm.
to sendings off and accused foot fake injuries by Neil Warnock and Gary Megson. I mean,
Yeah,
wow, what a match that was between the two teams. It was.
yeah.
It's mad to think that it was 18 years ago that was, and it still seems like yesterday to myself.
Yeah, I was only 2 at the time. I didn't even know how to say the words West Brom. So
Yeah, what a crazy. Maybe we should post up some highlights of that match tomorrow,
yeah,
uh,
definitely.
and just remind
But
ourselves of what a
it,
crazy.
to be honest, I won't mind the outcome if it does happen though, because we'll get a 3-0 win, and Sheffield will be a lot weaker. So
Well, I think what many people didn't realise about the importance of that match was at the time was that because the match was abandoned, Albion wasn't awarded the 3 points until much later on in the season. And at the time, Wolves were leading the championship table. They were virtually walking away with it, to be honest. And then Albion, after that match, went on a 6-match unbeaten run, winning 5 of those back to back until we drew with Rotherham United, and then we faced Bradford City, where the infamous Igor Ballis's penalty took place. And then at that point, the 3 points for the Sheffield United match still wasn't awarded to the Albion, and West Brom were about 6 points behind Wolves, who were then in second place in the league table, with Albion in third. So when Albion won away at Bradford with the Igor Ballis penalty, we then was awarded another 3 points got a 3-0 win against Sheffield United, which seen Albion leapfrog Wolves into second place. And because Wolves had gone on a 6-match run where they didn't win. So literally from Wolves having a 10 or 11 point lead over Albion, it all came down to the last game of the season, where it was up to Albion. We had to beat Crystal Palace, and if we didn't, Wolves needed to win, and they would have got promoted instead of ourselves. And of course, we all know what happened on that day.
yeah,
Up steps Darren Moore, and up steps Bob Taylor. We beat them 2-0, and it just sparked frenzy across the Albion. Scenes I'll never ever forget.
yeah,
And it was just an amazing roller coaster. But those 3 points against that match against Sheffield United in the Battle of Bramall Lane proved vitally important. I mean, we was winning the match 3-0 anyway when the match got abandoned, and it was the right call. Having been so far behind Wolves, of course, one of our greatest rivals in the West Midlands, to pull back that 11-point lead, it was just incredible. It was amazing.
yeah.
It really. So
Well, it sounds like we've had too many seasons where it's gone right to the last game. If we take last season into account as well,
that's
so
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully this season will go a lot better than those seasons, and we'll have at least 2 games where we're safe.
yeah. Of course, the visit to Sheffield United brings back one of Albion's former players in the name of Oliver Burke. He had a bit of a, what can I say, tainted career at West Brom. Never really, for one of the record signings that we had, never really shone. I don't think he was ever given the opportunity, to be honest. So if he is selected against for Sheffield United to play against us, he's probably one to watch for Sheffield United.
Mhm.
Um,
But equally, we've got the former Blades player, Callum Robinson, who's likely to start, so he'll be one to watch as well. I'm sure he'd love to grab a goal against his former co-workers.
Yeah, and he'll be one to watch as well. So I would definitely bank on Callum Robinson wanting to prove a point on Saturday evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening. This sort of concludes this episode. There was a bit of a dodgy bit in the middle, so hopefully we do have the full episode for you this week. But thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to check out Talk Albion on Facebook, and why not listen to one of our previous episodes as well.
Yeah. And thank you all for our new subscribers. We've seen a big increase over the last couple of weeks. I think we're up to about 147 followers at this moment in time. So a big thank you to you. We do hope we keep you entertained during this lockdown period. Like I say, it is for just a little bit of fun. Let's talk about the Albion, and we've all got something in common. We are one family. We support the one team. We are Albion. Let's hope for 3 points tomorrow against Sheffield United.